Hey Kiah, welcome back to Kapow. Lovely to have you on the show.
It's always good to reconnect with Kapow because you guys are into comic books and half my brain is made of a comic book, so it's always a good chat.
I had the pleasure of seeing the film last week. It was a lot of fun, very Ozploitation.
It's so good to hear that. I'm about to release a film, and so I'm just a nervous filmmaker right now, so anytime I hear that somebody liked it, I'm just like, oh, thank God.
What was it like returning to the project that started your feature film career?
It was awesome. I had the most fun I've ever had in my entire life making Wyrmwood 1, mainly because we paid for it ourselves and just nobody could tell us what to do. It was our film. We were producing it, I was directing it, and we had final cut. Then we went off and made a studio film, which was, that was a huge education, but I kind of came to realize that the majority of things that are done in the entertainment industry are kind of done by 7 people. And I'm just like, it's very hard to remain creative when under that kind of paradigm. So on Wyrmwood Apocalypse, it was really important for us to go back to the way we made the first film. And thank God we had Blake Northfield, who came in and just pitched us the exact right thing, which was, guys, I'm going to finance it for you, and then I'm going to creatively get out of the way and watch the sparks fly. And he really did that. So we were able to make the exact film that we wanted to make and have final cut, which is kind of unheard of. Even now, like in the independent film, like nobody gets final cut anymore. So it's really refreshing to be able to do that again.
Having a bigger budget this time, how did that affect the production process?
With the budget, it was slightly bigger than the first film in that, the whole point was that we were going to try and set up a budget where it was big enough for us to be able to lift in terms of what was on screen, but also the professionalism of the production, but also keep it at a minimal point whereby we could retain creative control, which was very important because for some silly reason, we really do believe that our brains, mine and my brother's brains are probably the best ones to be making decisions creatively on a franchise that we created. We had to keep the budget pretty low, and we really hit the perfect sweet spot where it was small budget enough to be indie and ignored by studio executives, but big enough that we could have, big sets and a cyborg zombie.
On that note, the cyborg zombie was really cool.
Yeah, I think that was my brother's idea. I think that sort of came from growing up reading, old Judge Dredd comic books. There's a cyborg that he has to fight all the time. I can't remember what his name is, but he's got the dial on his forehead that goes from, medium level anger to very angry, so he just turns the dial to furious and kicks ass. We sort of wanted to do our own little version of that, but as a zombie. And I don't think I've ever seen a cyborg zombie on screen before, so it was nice to kind of do that. And again, I can't make a film without some kind of big creature on set. And that's what I love about practical effects. You build a massive creature and you've just got this 6'4" cyborg zombie walking around in between setups, and you're in the catering tent with a monster. I love that. It's one of my favorite things about filmmaking. It's not digital, it's a real thing.
In the last few years, we have seen a return to practical effects. I think the audience finds it refreshing to take a bit of a step back.
In terms of practical and digital, I think we just went a little crazy there for a while. I think probably late 90s through the 2000s, there was a digital phase, and there were a lot of movies where they just went, hey, it's cheaper to just, make the creature digital. And it is. But the problem is, in my mind, I think the human eye knows what's fake and what's not. And if you've got a practical creature, there's something about seeing the physical, actual prosthetic flesh on screen. The brain knows what's real and what's not. And so if you've got a digital creature, I'm just generally not scared of it. The films that scare me the most are ones that have practical creatures like Alien or The Thing. You go back to Evil Dead, like every demon in that is a real person under prosthetic skins, and that's what is scary, So it's really nice to see the shift back to practical.
Open it! Oh, beers. You want a beer, Frank? What do you fucking reckon?
The original film had an Indigenous lead, and this film has got 2. Was it important for you to continue that tradition for the Wyrmwood franchise?
Yeah, especially given that, Leon was such a huge part of what made Wyrmwood 1 amazing. We wanted to continue that tradition. I've actually worked out a way to bring him back for Wyrmwood 3, but that's a whole other thing. The 2 sisters in this, played by Shantae Barnes-Cowan and Tasia Zalar, are the nieces of Leon Birchill, the Benny character in the first one. I don't think that's a big spoiler. But yeah, it was a big deal for me to bring that back. And we did, and the girls were fantastic. Just in terms of Indigenous content, I I can't imagine making a film without some Indigenous content because it's their country. And, you know, it's just really an act of respect. I'm filming on their land. You've got to have Indigenous people in your films. You just got to do it. That's my thing anyway.
What can the fans expect from Wyrmwood Apocalypse?
It's not the first film. Don't go in thinking we're just gonna like give you a clone of the first film. If Wyrmwood Road of the Dead is Mad Max 1, this is Mad Max 2. If Wyrmwood Road of the Dead is Alien, this is Aliens. You know, it was a different approach, you know, like the first film was very patchwork and all over the place, possibly funnier, whereas this one is just balls to the wall. It has a very lean, very quite simple narrative wrapped around bigger themes, but it's really full on. And so in the way that, you know, Mad Max 1 was probably a little bit funnier and a little bit more eccentric and, you know, again, spent a little bit more time on the family of, you know, the Max character and all this kind of stuff. This one, like Mad Max 2, is just, you know, it's almost like one long car chase. It's really, really balls to the wall. If you like zombie films and you like films with, you know, rocketing vehicles and unusual creatures and, you know, people popping out of the side of moving vehicles, shooting miniguns. If you like magic and fantasy and all of that kind of stuff, hey, it's all in there.
Everyone, go check out Wyrmwood Apocalypse. It's an Australian film. The industry's had a tough time and they could use your support.
It's out theatrically February 10. Go and see it on a massive screen, because if you're going to see, you know, this type of insane, fire-drenched, blood-soaked action, you want to see it on a 20-foot screen, not on your iPhone. Do yourself a favour, see it on a big screen.
What the fuck was that?